So, when I learned that Senator Justice was not going to be in attendance tonight because she is on her way to, I think, Turkey, I stepped outside and I called her and I said, "Oh my gosh, where are you? My speech is about you." And so, with the help of Jeremy LaFavor, we called Julie, and Julie is right there. The telephone is on, and she can hear us. So good evening. It's great to be First of all, it's great to be back with Kansas City's Democrats. Where are my Cass County people? All right. And on the heralded minority. Well, another legislative session is behind us. It's come and gone, and it is my ninth, believe it or not, in Jefferson City. And over time, you learn the rhythms of a legislative session. First, what happens is that it appears that the world is going to come to an end as we know it. Threats and compromises lead to frustration, but occasional victories do occur. And then mercifully, at 6 p.m., on the first Friday after the second Monday in May, it all suddenly stops. We all shake hands and shake our heads. We go home to different towns across this great state. And in the days that follow, we ask ourselves whether Missouri is a better place for our efforts. Occasionally, there are legislative accomplishments that end with important laws, and front-page stories in the Kansas City Star, and bill signings in the governor's office, and conversations in barbershops across Missouri about how much better off or worse off we are because of those damn politicians. But there are other kinds of legislative accomplishments that go largely unnoticed. They end with no new law being passed, no entry in the statute books, or water cooler debate. And while historically and culturally important, they are nonetheless completely missed by this morning's Star and nearly every other news outlet in Missouri. Yet because of these unnoticed accomplishments, when we ask ourselves whether Missouri is a better place for our efforts, our answer is a resounding yes. I swear to you, on the 20 years of my life that I have dedicated to this profession, one of those largely unnoticed acts that ranks among the most impressive legislative accomplishments that I have ever seen occurred last night, just before dinner. And I want to take a minute with you tonight to respect it. Last night at 5:45 p.m., with 15 minutes left in the legislative session of 2013, Senator Jolie Justice passed the Missouri Non-Discrimination Act. It was an attempt to make it illegal to fire someone simply because they are gay, to make it illegal to refuse to rent a hotel room to someone simply because they are gay. She passed it through the floor of the Missouri Senate. Unfortunately, there was not time left to pass it through the House floor on the other side of the Capitol, and so it did not become law. But the fact that here in our home of Missouri, such a measure was taken up in an overwhelmingly Republican Senate and passed by a vote of 19 to 11 is deserving of extraordinary respect and recognition. The vote itself has been years in the making, and the efforts of Senator Joan Bray should not go unrecognized tonight. The Missouri Non-Discrimination Act, or MONA as it is called, has been filed every year for over a decade. For many years, the legislature would not even give it a committee hearing. Then, about 5 years ago, the Senate and the House began giving the bill committee hearings, but never considered passing it out of committee or bringing it to the floor. Last night, in the Missouri Senate, was the first time that Mona was ever given serious floor time in either chamber. The first time it was ever given a recorded vote in either chamber. And the first time it was ever passed in either chamber. Every Democrat in the Senate voted in favor of it. And so to Senators Justice Chappelle Nadal, Curls, Holzman, Kevin, Lavoda, McKenna, Nasheed, Sifton, and Walsh, we say thank you. And to 9 Republicans, Senators Dempsey, Kehoe, Parson, Pierce, Romine, Sater, Shaw, Sylvie, and Wallingford, we say thank you as well. The importance of human relationships in politics never, ever ceases to awe me. If you look at the seating chart of the floor of the Missouri Senate, you will notice that Republican Senators Sater, Pierce, Wallingford, and Dempsey all sit in close proximity to Senator Justice. And as someone who spent 4 years on that floor, I can attest to you that the respect and cooperation that comes from mere proximity is strong. Other stories of bipartisan relationships are every bit as important, but will not ever be found in the recorded vote. Senator Ed Emery, an opponent of the bill, who could have ended the bill's chances with the shortest of filibusters, allowed the measure to be brought to a vote. Senator Ron Richard, the majority floor leader and an opponent of the bill, twice gave the bill valuable floor time on the last critical day of session. And Senator Brad Logan, another opponent of the bill, allowed his own bill, his own piece of legislation, to be overlaid with Senator Justice's substitute language so that a measure to grant equality in hiring and housing could be given a chance. All of these things, seen and unseen, happened because of Senator Jolie Justice and the other members of the Democratic caucus, because of the relationships that they have forged, and ultimately because of the inherent dignity of their cause. The Democratic caucus teases me sometimes because as an old-timer and an alumnus of the Missouri Senate, I place undue emphasis on each of them, referring to one another, at least in formal settings and public settings, by their formal titles. They are senators. They should refer to one another as such. They represent the hopes and aspirations of hundreds of thousands of people. And yesterday afternoon, under the leadership of an extraordinary woman, they lived up to the titles that we have given them. About 5 years ago, I was at Black Tie, which is a gay and lesbian dinner held every year in Springfield, Missouri. And one of the things, in my opinion, that makes Black Tie sort of a unique event is that unlike the HRC annual dinner in St. Louis, or even the Victory Fund brunch here in Kansas City, which are both LGBT events, the Black Tie dinner has a surprisingly high number of straight attendees every year. From the general community and the business community, and even actually from the religious community. Which, when you consider that the dinner is held in Springfield, Missouri, I think actually breaks down stereotypes, certain stereotypes, in a very positive way. Anyway, here's what struck me about this dinner 5 years ago. About halfway through the night, the master of ceremonies of the event asked everyone who was gay in the room to stand, which is how I knew that there were a lot of straight people in the room. And then the MC asked all of the people who were standing to give what essentially became a standing ovation to all of the straight allies who were there sharing the dinner with them that night. And it really hit me. And it's something that I've remembered in kind of a profound way for the last 5 years, which is this concept of straight allies. And the fact that I, along with all of the other people who were there that night, were being thanked for being one of them. First of all, not that it's really that important, I really appreciated being thanked. Second, this term straight ally made me realize, maybe for the first time, that I was being thanked by the LGBT community for being more than an attendee, more than a sympathizer or a friend. I was being thanked for being something called a straight ally. And that gratitude, that acknowledgement that our efforts as straight allies is a critical component to this progress, which was an important moment for me as a person. I suppose also as a political figure, but more importantly, for me as a person. Jolie Justice has been a senator on behalf of the state of Missouri for 7 years. She is a woman in an institution that is predominantly male. She is a gay in a legislative body that is 33/34 straight. She is the first openly gay member of the Missouri Senate. What happened last night is evidence that sometimes the most impressive legislative work is the quiet and slow procession of a river that over time can move shorelines of prejudice. What happened last night was the result of a woman's grace and patience and gentle advocacy that was so subtle that few even knew over those 7 years that it was occurring. What happened last night was that for the first time, straight allies, many of whom were Republicans, came out of their straight ally closets and were counted when they did not have to be. As though we needed another example of the bad and unintended consequences of term limits, we can add this to the mounting litany. Profound social change does not occur on a legislative calendar. Social change is not neatly packaged into 4- and 8-year increments. The fact that Jolie Justice moved the mountain is proof that mountains can be moved. The fact that term limits may rob this woman of a chance to complete our journey together, that we are more likely to lose our way without her than with her, is just the 100th reason why this term limit law should change. But that is for another day. For tonight, let me just say that Senator Jolie Justice, in her 7 years of representing us, has given Democrats and Missourians a reason to believe that our government can work. Thank you.